What if I told you that every time you explode in anger, you're not expressing strength, you're being controlled? Your fury isn't freedom, it's programming. The world knows exactly how to push your buttons, and you keep handing them the remote. Imagine this. You're in a meeting. Someone smirks and says, "You always overpromise." The words slice deep. Your blood boils, your chest tightens, and you're seconds away from reacting. But pause for a second. That's not power, that's submission. Because the one who provokes you controls you. Epictetus warned, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Anger is not your sword, it's your leash. Every outburst is proof that someone else pulled the strings and you danced. This is the first truth of Stoic warfare. Control your reaction, or be ruled by those who can trigger it. So, the next time the heat rises, ask yourself one brutal question: who benefits from my anger? Because if the answer isn't me, you're already losing. Manipulators don't fight fair, they fight smart. They don't throw punches, they throw provocations. Their weapon isn't strength, it's strategy. They test your emotional armor, looking for cracks. One sarcastic comment here, one innocent joke there. Each word carefully chosen to make you react, defend, justify, or explode. Because the second you do, they've won. Why? Because anger is noise, and noise always buries logic. Seneca called anger a temporary insanity, and he was right. It disconnects you from reason. It hijacks your judgment. It makes you do what your enemy couldn't force you to do by any other means. Self-destruct. You shout, you argue, you defend, and in that storm, they stand calm, watching you lose control. That's emotional chess, and most people keep playing checkers. You think you're defending your honor, but you're feeding their power. So, before you respond to that provocation, remember this. The calm mind always controls the battlefield. The louder the opponent gets, the closer they are to losing. The Stoic does not fight noise with more noise. They fight chaos with composure. The silent man in the storm always wins, because silence terrifies the manipulator. They expect your defense, your shouting, your proof of innocence, but not your calm. Silence is rejection of the game itself. When someone mocks you, when they bait you with sarcasm or guilt, and you simply breathe and say nothing, you disrupt their entire script. They crumble because they no longer control the rhythm. You do. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." That's not weakness. That's strategic warfare. When they go low, you don't rise above for moral show. You stay still for tactical dominance. Calmness is your armor, stillness your weapon. Because in the modern world, the loudest person looks desperate. The quiet one looks powerful. You don't need to prove yourself. You only need to prove that nothing can move you. Here's the truth. Every reaction you regret begins in the first 10 seconds. That's the window where chaos tries to enter your mind. Someone insults you, and your body instantly floods with adrenaline and cortisol. Your heart pounds, your fists tighten, your ego screams, "Defend yourself now." But this is the trap, because in those 10 seconds, you are not thinking, you are obeying. The Stoic warrior flips the game. When provoked, you pause, you inhale deeply, exhale slowly, and silently count to 10. Those 10 seconds are your fortress. They break the chain between impulse and action. They give reason a chance to return. Marcus Aurelius trained this habit daily, reminding himself that you have power over your mind, not outside events. That pause is not weakness, it's control. It's how you starve manipulation. Most people cannot endure silence for 10 seconds. But if you can hold your calm in that heat, you reverse the power dynamic instantly. The one who waits wins. Manipulators depend on one thing, your participation. They throw emotional bait, and when you bite, they reel you in. But when you stay calm, you expose their dependence on your reaction. They push, provoke, guilt trip, and yet nothing moves you. That silence forces them to confront their own weakness, their need for chaos. They begin to panic. Their power was never real. It existed only as long as you gave it life. Seneca said, "He who angers you conquers you, but when you refuse to engage, you become ungovernable." The manipulator's tricks stop working. Their size, their sarcasm, their guilt all lose meaning because your emotions are no longer for sale. In stillness, you reclaim your dignity. You stop being their puppet and start being their mirror, reflecting their games back at them. And soon, they can't stand your calm because it reminds them of their lack of it. That's the secret. Stillness doesn't just protect you, it destroys them. Every manipulator runs on a psychological program, a predictable script, written to provoke your emotions and control your responses. They sigh to trigger guilt. They joke to mask contempt. They question your worth to plant self-doubt. But once you see the code, the game ends. The Stoic doesn't fight the script. He rewrites it. How? By responding in patterns they can't predict. When someone tries to guilt you with, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me," you don't explain, defend, or apologize. You simply say, "I'll think about it." Calm, neutral, unmoved. Those 4 words crash their system. They need your energy to keep the code alive, and you just unplug the power. Every manipulator feeds on reaction. Without it, they malfunction. The Stoic response isn't emotional, it's deliberate. It's not about winning the argument, it's about staying in control of yourself. Because once you master neutrality, you become unpredictable, and unpredictability is power. True power doesn't shout, it speaks few words, slowly and precisely. Manipulators expect outrage, panic, or guilt, not composure. When you reply with calm detachment, their world tilts. Imagine someone spitting venom, trying to corner you emotionally. You've changed. You don't care anymore. The old you would argue. The disciplined you simply says, "I understand," or "I'll think about it." No tone, no tension, just calm control. That simplicity is devastating to manipulators because they rely on emotional chaos to survive. When you give them nothing, they suffocate in their own noise. Stoic masters like Epictetus knew this truth well. We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. A neutral word is a weapon of mastery. It slices through emotional manipulation without spilling a drop of your peace. The key is to never let your words reveal your weakness. Keep your speech measured, minimal, and unmoved. That's dominance without aggression. Emotional immunity is the highest form of strength. It's when your peace can't be stolen, no matter the attack. Most people think resilience means fighting through pain, but Stoic power is different. It's immunity, not resistance. The manipulator cannot drain what you no longer give. Every insult, every criticism, every guilt trip bounces off because you've trained your mind to see them as noise, not truth. Marcus Aurelius lived surrounded by betrayal and deceit. Yet he wrote, "If someone can prove me wrong, I'll gladly change. If they merely attack me, I'll remain as I am." That's emotional armor. The weak defend themselves endlessly. The strong don't need to, because once you detach your identity from opinions, the world loses its grip on you. No insult can wound you when your ego is no longer the target. The Stoic doesn't suppress emotions. He commands them. He feels the flame, but doesn't let it burn the house down. That's real invincibility. Calm isn't natural, it's trained. The Stoics didn't wait for peace. They built it through discipline. You can't expect to stay composed in chaos if you've never practiced stillness and silence. Every morning, you must rehearse control like a warrior sharpening his sword. Sit in stillness. Breathe deeply. Visualize someone trying to provoke you, and imagine yourself unshaken. This is called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. You anticipate the storm before it hits. So when it comes, you don't panic, you recognize it. Marcus Aurelius prepared daily for insult, betrayal, and manipulation. You must do the same. Because calm under fire isn't about suppression, it's recognition. You already saw it coming, so it can't surprise you. The more you prepare, the more peace becomes your default setting. The weak hope for peace, the Stoic trains for it. Every insult becomes a test. Every test becomes practice. Every moment of restraint, victory. Today's war isn't fought with swords, it's fought with words, tones, and triggers. Social media, workplaces, relationships, all battlegrounds of emotional warfare. Every comment, every post, every harmless jab is designed to provoke a reaction. The modern manipulator doesn't want your respect, they want your attention. Because your reaction is energy, and once they have it, they own you. You see it online every day, people arguing endlessly, defending themselves to strangers, wasting hours proving points that don't matter. That's how emotional control dies, not in big moments, but in 1,000 tiny losses of focus. The Stoic refuses to play. He scrolls past insults like a king walking through noise. He doesn't explain himself to fools, because he knows truth doesn't need validation. As Seneca said, "What need has virtue for defense?" You want real power? Learn to walk away without a word. Learn to ignore what is beneath you. That silence is your throne. Calm is not the absence of fire, it's the mastery of it. When you stay composed under pressure, people notice. Your stillness commands the room more than any shout ever could. It disarms aggression, exposes weakness, and builds silent authority. Picture a heated argument, voices rise, tempers flare, and you remain unmoved, eyes steady, tone even. Suddenly, everyone else looks out of control, and you look unbreakable. That's how calm becomes dominance. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire not through fear, but through composure. The Stoic doesn't seek to be intimidating, yet his control intimidates those enslaved by their impulses. Calm energy confuses manipulators, because they expect to meet emotion, not silence. When they see no reaction, they lose footing. The Stoic's calm is not passive, it's strategic. It's the difference between reacting to chaos and redirecting it. When you stay centered, you don't just survive the storm, you make others drown in their own. When chaos strikes, your greatest battle isn't with the world, it's with your own thoughts. The Stoic knows that external attacks mean nothing unless the mind agrees to believe them. So, when provoked, the first thing you must master is your internal dialogue. Don't ask, why are they doing this to me? Ask, why am I allowing it to touch me? Every manipulator's weapon depends on your inner voice repeating their words. Change that voice, and the attack dies. Epictetus taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters. That's not philosophy, it's tactical training. Your mind must become a filter, not a sponge. Let the noise pass through without absorption. The disciplined mind observes emotion without obeying it. It hears the insult, recognizes the manipulation, and answers with silence. That's what mental sovereignty looks like, when your inner dialogue belongs to you and no one else can rewrite it. Detachment is not coldness, it's control. It's the art of staying human without being hijacked by emotion. Most people confuse caring with clinging, reacting with strength, and emotional display with authenticity. But the Stoic knows attachment to outcomes, approval, or validation is the root of suffering. When you no longer need someone's respect, you become impossible to manipulate. When you no longer fear loss, you become untouchable. Detachment means observing the storm without being swept into it. You see the insult, the betrayal, or the manipulation, and you simply note it, without letting it enter your bloodstream. Marcus Aurelius practiced this daily, reminding himself, you have power over your mind, not external events. That's not just wisdom, it's a battle command. The detached man isn't emotionless. He's free. He feels everything but reacts to nothing until he decides. That's not indifference, it's inner dominance. Pain is the raw material of transformation. The weak run from it, the Stoic forges it into strength. Every insult, every rejection, every manipulation is a test of mastery, a mirror showing where you're still enslaved to reaction. The goal isn't to avoid pain, but to use it as a forge. When you're provoked and stay calm, you've grown stronger. When you're attacked and remain centered, you've gained power. Marcus Aurelius endured betrayal, loss, and war, yet he turned each hardship into wisdom. He didn't say, why me? He said, what can I learn from this? That's how you turn pain into discipline. The modern mind escapes pain through distraction, but the Stoic faces it head-on, unflinching, because he knows it's the price of evolution. Your peace is built in the fire of discomfort. Every time you endure what once broke you, you level up in silence. Pain doesn't destroy you, it reveals what you're made of. This philosophy only matters if you live it. Stoicism isn't about quoting Marcus Aurelius, it's about practicing him. In the workplace, when your boss criticizes you unjustly, don't rush to defend. Breathe, nod, and respond with measured calm. That moment of restraint builds your authority more than any excuse ever could. At home, when someone you love tries to guilt trip you with emotional manipulation, pause and ask, what are you really feeling? Instead of reacting, the game collapses because calm exposes truth. Online, when you're insulted or mocked, silence is your shield. You don't argue, you outlast. Every situation in life becomes a test of your inner control. You can't stop people from provoking you, but you can master how you meet their chaos. That's Stoicism in motion, stillness in the storm, control under pressure, composure when it counts. Every quiet response is proof that you've evolved past reaction and into mastery. In the end, it always comes down to this: control yourself or be controlled. Life will test you with insults, betrayal, and chaos, but none of it can touch you unless you hand over the key. The Stoic's mission is simple: rule your emotions before they rule you. Because the one who cannot govern his own reactions will always be a slave to the moods of others. When you stay calm, they think you're weak, but that's because they can't comprehend restraint. When you stay silent, they think you've lost. But silence is the ultimate victory. It forces your enemies to face themselves. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Remember that every second you remain composed, you prove your dominance. The world will always provoke you, but your peace is your empire. Protect it, master it, live by it, because the moment you own your reaction, you own your life. Before you go, remember this. The war you're fighting isn't out there, it's inside. Every time you hold your peace instead of reacting, you're rebuilding your power. Every time you pause instead of explode, you're breaking another chain. Change doesn't happen by wishing. It happens by training your mind, moment by moment, choice by choice. So, starting today, choose mastery over emotion, silence over chaos, and discipline over impulse. If this message spoke to you, take a second to reflect and share your thoughts. What moment in your life taught you the power of calm? Leave your comments below the video. I read every single one. And remember, your reaction defines your reality. Thanks for listening. YouTube channel, Stoic Psychology.